All right, Mwamba, hello. How are you doing today?
Yes, my friend, I am doing well. I am feeling great. And
Yes.
it's very nice that I'm having you today.
Yes. I'm so excited that we were able to do this. The network wasn't working for us yesterday, so this is our second attempt, but
Mhm.
I'm very happy to be here. You look great. That's a very sharp shirt you got on, and you're always smiling too. You always look so happy all
Yes,
two or three
I
times
think
we've talked.
this is my power. This is my power, actually.
That's right. That's right. In America, we call it the money maker. This,
Yes, great. Nice one.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. So Mwamba, we found each other on Instagram because we have two things in common. We're both
Mhm.
Tanzanian and we're both transgender men. So
I know, yeah. It's a coincidence, and I was very curious. I was like, what? So there are other trans people who are living in America and they're Tanzanian. I mean, I was very surprised, and I was very looking forward to meet you. Seriously, I really wanted to know a lot. Plus, I want to share with you what we have back here at our home.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, same, when I meet people who are when I meet people who are transgender, who are from Tanzania, or people who are from Tanzania in general, really, because I've told you off the recording, my dad is from Tanzania, but he never really told me anything about the culture, about the country, and I've never been there. So for me, I've kind of felt almost like this emptiness from not really knowing about that side of me, that part of me, because it's like I feel very deep down that that this is a big part of who I am, and I don't know much about it. So to meet other people who are also transgender is really exciting because
Mhm.
we'll get into this in a minute, but your experience being transgender, that's a very universal experience. It doesn't matter what part of the world we're in. There's just certain parts of that experience
Yes,
that are the same no matter where we are,
yes,
and it's been really nice to be able to connect
yes.
with someone who gets all of those levels.
Yes, definitely. And I'm very happy actually because you need to feel connected and also connect to your culture. I mean, you need to know deep down the source of the soil that you that makes you as a Tanzanian person. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's important. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. The source of the soil. I like that a lot. That might actually be the episode of this or the title of this episode. We'll see. But but
I know.
y-
Yeah.
but yeah, so can you share with us, so like I said, the story of or the experience of being transgender, it's universal, in that a lot of us kind of experience a lot of the same things. A lot of us who are LGBTQ in general kind of experience a lot of the same things. So can you kind of start by telling us a little bit about what your experience was coming out and realizing that you were transgender and then coming out to your family?
I have been thinking about this question.
Yeah.
And now I am realizing it more that I have always been out since I was young,
What do you mean
you
by that?
know, because everything that I do, that made me, that defined who I am since I was young. I mean, I could do things that pleases me, that I love, and people would think it's weird because
Stuff
of
like what?
how the example um, um, let's start with the dressing code.
Ah,
I
yeah.
have always yes to the male dressing code, and
Same.
that since young, yes, it has always made me feel good about myself, and also when I was about to when I was growing up, becoming a young man, is that it was also attracted to females.
Yeah.
You know, I have been being me, who I am. I've always been telling my mom the same thing because whatever goes and happens to me, I would have a conversation with my mom and I would tell her, and I would always speak to her about my feelings. Um, I think by that time she did not want to open.
Sorry, you cut out for just a second there. So, you were saying that you opened up a lot to your mom about your feelings and what you were going through at any point. And then it kind of cut out there for a second. Can you kind of start there again, please?
Yes, I remember that I used to talk with my mom about my feelings
Yeah.
and what goes on with my life, and she wouldn't she wouldn't support me in any way because she didn't understand what I was experiencing back then. So I felt left out, and I couldn't talk to anyone about these feelings. So that kept me uh, being inside doors for such a long time. So in 2015, now that I'm fully grown, I'm seeking out information, needing to know uh, who really I am, with the help of few people who are now trying to understand who I am. So I had this good program called Lilo, Looking In and Looking Out. This program was meant to first looking inside yourself, knowing the type of person you are, and accepting who you are despite the stigma that comes around you. You accept yourself. Then you look outside, you look at the people who are surrounding you. I mean,
Yeah.
you might you have accept yourself, but there are people who have not, excuse me, there are people who have not yet accept you. I mean, how are you living with them around? How are you maneuvering around? How are you creating your safe environment for making sure that you are going to live freely with your life, and at the same time uh, you are staying out of trouble, because not everyone understands what trans is, and not everyone is is very accepting. You know, a lot of people as Africans, we are always when we have fear of the unknown, we become we become we change.
Yeah.
Sometimes we become violent just because you don't know something. So you better react in a very violent manner towards someone because you don't understand the agenda. So such things happen in Tanzania. So for me, number one is what I did when I was trying to come out is I looked inside myself, and then I looked at the environment that is surrounding me. I chose my support system. My support system meaning accepting family members who are accepting me. I would speak with them. My friends who are very positive with me, I would hang out with them. And I wouldn't hang out with the people who are negative or are mistreating me or are trying to create bad air, bad vibe around me. I wouldn't hang out in such with such people. So number again, this made me realize that it is not about me.
Yeah.
It is not about me. It's also about the people who are surrounding me. When I was trying to tell my mom that who really the person I was, I did not consider about her feelings and her environment. I used to, I mean, force conversation. Like I really wanted her to understand me in such a way that I wanted her to accept me. You know, I
Yeah.
wanted the same acceptance. As I'm accepting her, she should accept me. But it sadly doesn't work like that. So Lilo helped me out to know that coming out is a process. It doesn't happen in one day. Like you can't just tell someone I am trans, or I am a sexual minority, or I am a gender minority, and they can accept you in that same time. That is impossible. They need to take time. They need to breathe. You know, they need to think about it. They need to approach you back with their thoughts, and then for after as for sometimes you can come up with an agreement whereby as a human you need to live freely, but again you need also to respect people's choices. So I think that made also me and my mom to be at peace. Me and my mom and my family members are now accepting because I have taken the process of taking them through my journey of coming out. I would talk to them once a while about sexual diversity people. I would talk to them about other things, not only trans people, but I would question. I would talk on Christianity. I would talk about feminism. I would also talk about trans people. I would talk about health. I would put trans people in it. I would talk about human rights. You know, they me by just making them think about these stuffs and how we as human need to treat each other, they came to a realization of acceptance. So for me, that was my solidarity space of
Yeah.
coming out. Yes. So I was very happy to go through the process, and the process is not always straight. It's zigzag. Sometimes she would wake up feeling angry. She would say negative things. But again, coming down, she would say, no, it is because of anger. I did not mean it. So it's about communication. It's about
Yeah.
sympathy, one another. It's about family. It's about connection. I think our families are the first people to accept us. Has it has already happened to me? Because the moment your family has accepted you, you have win.
Yeah.
You feel unstoppable because now you are really free to live as a human being. You are really free to date whoever you want. You can share with them your feelings, and anyone in the community who comes against you in any way, it's very easy to also report because you get the strength. They help you out. They push you to get your right as a human being without considering who you are. So for me, I think coming out for me also, um, family support has also made me strong. Yes.
Yeah.
Family
Absolutely.
support. Yeah.
So, ha-
So
oh, sorry, really quick. How long did it take about from when you first came out to your family to the time that they were accepting? About how long did that take?
so it took very long from the first time I was since I was young, as I was trying to show them who I was, very hard, who I am, forcing them to accept me. That was very long than the process than when I was taking them through the process. So from 2015 to date, it's almost like 7 to 8 years. I mean, they have it has been a while, you see. It
Yeah.
is not a one-day process. It has been a while, and I'm very happy. Okay. Yes. So I think it also depends with the type of family you have. I'm glad that my mother is a very spiritual person. She always tells me positive things. She encourages me, and she always tells me to stick with the word of God.
Yeah.
Because she believes God, we are all her children, and everyone has rights through that. So I think, accepted. She also accepted me because of that. Yeah. So I'm very glad that she was on my side.
Yeah, that's great. And I heard it sound like you said her. So your mom believes that God is a woman. Is that correct?
Yes, God is a woman,
Yeah.
and I believe so.
Yeah, it makes more sense to me too, honestly. Women are the givers of life on earth. It absolutely makes sense to me. I love that.
Thank you for that realization.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I love what you're saying about look inward, look outward, Lilo. Where did you learn that?
This was a program brought by Positive Vibes uh, from Denmark. Positive Vibes, they were. They were in partnership with the LGBT Denmark. So they came up with this amazing Lilo guidance. This helped a lot of minorities in Tanzania, and we adapted it. So we adapted it. We always do it every time we have new members. Every time we have young people who are facing difficulties, we would use the strategy, and it would come out positive. I mean, there are family who are very negative, so you cannot. You cannot expect this person to come out. So the LILO program helps the person to come out at the right time. At the right time, meaning at the right environment.
Yeah.
You know, in the right environment, meaning you are not under the roof of your parents. You are depending on yourself. That might be your right time. When you have a job, now you are stable. That might be your right time. I mean, you just feel like you want to let it out. That might be your right time. I
Yeah.
mean, you may, or you not to. It's not important. That also is right.
Yeah.
If you don't see the importance of coming out because of your safety, I mean, it's okay.
Yeah, I
Yes.
love that. Yeah, because I think a lot of times we see other people and we see where they're at on their path, and sometimes we're so inclined to compare, right? And say, oh, like for example, look at Mwamba, look at everything that he's done, and I want to be like him, but if it's not safe, then it might not be the right
Mhm.
time, and I think that's such an important point because you definitely had a family where even when they weren't accepting and you knew it was because they didn't understand and you didn't feel like it was unsafe, so you knew that it was
Yes.
safe to come out. So that's really great that they were that they were able to help you figure that out, because I
Yes.
love that, Lilo. I love that a lot. um but switching gears a little bit, so you mentioned for some people the right time to come out might be when they're already out of the house, not living with their family, because that's when it's going to be safer. And same here in America. There's a lot of people who, like you said at one point, Africans, the fear of the unknown can turn into violence. It's not just an African thing. It's definitely something that happens here in
Yes.
America too. And there's a lot of people
Crazy.
who can never come out, because not only is it not safe to come out to their family, but they might live in a part of America where it's really not safe to come out, and they might have a really hard time finding community. So you are working on, you're the CEO of Tanzania Trans Initiative, which, by the way, am I saying Tanzania wrong? Because I say it the way that my dad says it, but it sounds like you say it differently. You say Tanzania.
Oh yes.
Am I saying it
It's
wrong?
it's Tanzania.
Okay.
It's Tanzania. You're saying it correct.
You're
But
not
some people say Tanzania. Tanzania. It's just I think it's a slang language thing, but it's okay. You are right.
okay. You're not just saying that to be nice, because I can handle it if I've been saying it wrong my whole life.
Ah. Okay. It's plain. It's Tanzania.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
Yes.
So thank you for confirming that. I can now go back to everybody and say that I've been saying it right all along. Yes. But so you are the CEO of Tanzania Trans Initiative, and so from my understanding, it's a lot of its purpose is to kind of fill that gap for people who don't have the safety of a family or a community to be able to come out and get the resources that they need. So can you kind of explain to me and for the listeners what Tanzania Trans Initiative is, and how you came to start it?
Mhm. Um, um, Guys, this organization, I mean, it had a very long history.
Yeah.
TTI means Tanzania Trans Initiative, and we started it with my fellow colleagues, mainly for transgender people. Transgender main focus was only transgender diversity, although now we are trying to also help out the others because now they're in need. and we also need to work as a community. So
The others
to first
being
advocate for their rights.
like sexual minorities, like gay and lesbian people. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah. Mhm. And the youth and the age, yeah, youth,
Okay.
especially women, because we see now in our society, trans and women have similar issues. You know, when we talk about gender violence, so
Mm,
we also decided to put that as an addition. So
yeah.
yeah, so at first we wanted to focus on advocacy, advocating for transgender visibility. Okay, we want to be visible. Visible means we want to be known that we are out here. I mean, people would be comfortable being there without having any voice, but now there's too much violence in the community. So we really want to advocate for their visibility, so that they may get health needs. They may also get their human rights. This means we also wanted to uh, work on litigation issues, whereby if there are cases of transgenders having problems, we can litigate them and see of how we can go about it. But unfortunately, our judiciary system is not much free. So we focused mainly on health issues and human rights issues, but not in the perspective of litigating, but giving people awareness and the capacity on their own safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was mainly the reason why we created the transgender organization. But again, from that, how did that TTI got established? At first, I got an experience from an LGBT community. I worked there as a programs person, and most of the time in Tanzania, uh, gay and MSM issues were being prioritized. This is because for such a long time, since 2006, uh, gay and sex workers issues have been there. Have always been there and have always been known to the government as
Yeah.
except for those people. I mean, all the programs would come, but we would be left out, and that really pained in my heart to be left out. So that was also another drive that made us seek our own organization, so that we may work hard and be visible by our own. So that was the main reason why we started TTI.
Yeah, that on actually that sounds also again very similar. I think we were talking the last time we had a conversation, I was talking to you about how a lot of what's going on in Tanzania, you can look to the LGBTQ history in America because again, these experiences just repeat over and over and over again and different
Yes,
countries are kind of at different stages, but everyone kind of goes through the same stages and
it's
you're
crazy.
saying, yeah, it is. And you're saying that, you kind of needed to start TTI because you were working in as a programs director for this other LGBT community, but they were kind of excluding transgender people, and that's always been historically a big problem is
Mhm,
transphobia
mhm,
even within the gay and
mhm.
lesbian community. And actually, when
Yes.
I was early in my transition and I still
Mhm,
didn't always like pass, like you couldn't always like, like I still had like some feminine features and stuff like that. I would get nervous going into men's restrooms because, like I wasn't sure if it was going to be safe. And the only time that I felt like it might have actually been unsafe to be in a restroom was at a gay club. And all of the other people in that restroom were gay men, and I had never felt
mhm,
that way at like a sports bar or a baseball game or any other places that it's mostly, straight men, because they're not really paying attention as much, right? Like they're not looking as much when they're in the restroom at other people. Whereas gay men,
I know.
they felt
Yeah.
more comfortable, like making eye contact and looking at people when they're in line in the restroom or whatever. And so they didn't, it was a really uncomfortable situation. So I think that's really important to highlight that this organization came out of a need, not just from lack of support in the greater community, but also from lack of support in the gay and lesbian community. Because yeah, it's like it's so important that we all stick together, and yet it often is not the case.
Yes. I mean, it's very, very important because sometimes our fellow people in the community, they create our safety by defending us, talking positively about one another. That is how you defend within each other within the community. I mean, okay. So if you are a lesbian, but now you have a problem with the trans because you are unable to define them, I mean, what's the point of having a solidarity community? You know, we need
Yeah.
solidarity. We need peace. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, community means to be able to defend each other. I love that, and that's so true. And you were speaking a little bit about wanting to do like visibility and advocacy and getting people resources, and that you wanted to kind of tackle the court system a little bit and get into litigation, but you had trouble with that. It is part of the reason. I know part of it is because, like you say, like the laws that are currently in place, either don't recognize transgender people at best, but it oftentimes I think criminalizes transgender people. Is that correct? Is it a crime to be transgender in Tanzania right now?
Not really. It is not a crime to
Okay.
be a transgender in Tanzania because there are no laws that prohibit anyone being a trans person.
Okay, that's good.
There are no laws. There are no laws that even speak about trans persons. So this means that we need the advocacy so
Hmm.
that it may have policy. You see?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, because that's, I mean, that's
Yes.
that.
Yeah, and I'm glad recognizing the multi-sectoral framework of the health system in the in Tanzania. I mean, transgenders have been mentioned now, but now the issue right now that we are facing is that it's there, written in words, but it's not been taken into action. You see, so that's the problem we are trying to tackle right now. But we have been recognized. I mean, it's there.
You are recognized in law, protected. I'm sorry, I think I missed part of that. What is
On
what
the
is written right
Yes,
now exactly?
in the multi-sectoral framework of Tanzania of health system, okay, it's written that free health system in to all people, including sexual minorities, including key and vulnerable population. Key and vulnerable population means MSM, sex workers, and transgender. That is how it says. So it's there, it's written in formally, but it's not. But now it's not taken into action. This means that the resources that are coming inside the country are only serving few
Yeah.
AT community, leaving out the transgender community. Because why? Number one, they claim to not have transgender data, and yet we struggle doing our own research in Tanzania. So it's like we are running on cycles and not hearing what trans have to say on their side. I mean, it's nothing about us without us. We are not there
Yeah.
on the table to make decisions for us to put ourselves to visibilize ourselves so that we may be so that we may have the data. I mean, we need to start doing some action. So I see that is missing. That's the gap that it's missing. And now in the community, people are still suffering. I mean, there's a very big gap missing in the books. Again, community are still suffering. Cases are not being taken from the police. I mean, we need safe house. We need a place whereby people can run, people can feel secured, people can, and people can you know, uh, people can those people who are from violence, from getting violence. I mean, people can recover. Yes, people can recover from their tragedies. I mean, we need such spaces. And now, why now? Number one is because I have the privilege
Yeah.
to find resources to say so. So why not now?
Right.
Why not now? It has been for several years. I mean, I am a voice and I'm speaking it. We need it. That is why we are trying to fundraise so that we may have it for our own people so that they can survive. I mean, they so that they may grow. They may grow, meaning they will get educational courses. They will have access to libraries. They will have space to grow their talent. They will have space to have enough use of technology. I mean, they can take advantage of that. We need to build our own people, starting with a safe space.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then once that safe space is established and you have those resources, I mean, you're talking education, you're talking about growing talent, you're talking about access to technology. You have that stuff set up, and
Yes.
then, you're saying nothing about us without us. Once we have that, stuff set
Yes.
up, next step
Mhm.
is getting people at the
Mhm.
table and having people run for
Yes.
public office and be in other
Mhm.
places of influence so that they can
Yes.
take that knowledge that they've
Mhm.
gained and actually start
Yes.
applying it,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Yeah, you know what? I also remembered something. Something also inspired me. Something very nice inspired me. There's this young man in a community started a very nice project called Do for Self. This meant, what he meant was that it should start with me. In their community, they had a problem because in their black community, they did not have schools. They did not have library, but this guy was able to mobilize people in the streets, fundraise for others in the streets, just by voicing, putting himself out there and voicing out. So
Yeah.
he was able to create. He was able to build a school. Actually, the school was very big, and it had learning. Learning. It had learning programs and everything. And guess what? A lot of people heard about it, and even the president heard about it. He was even added more of what he was asking for, because
Wow.
now the community saw that this young man had potential. You see, he was taking this, he was trying to save his community, and it worked. A lot of black people in the community started taking courses, started learning English, started. I mean, I also got motivated. Like my people are suffering
Yeah.
in this pandemic season of COVID-19. Finance is becoming very hard. There are no jobs. People in trans people are still on the streets. Violence is becoming too much. I mean, it's everything in one place. Someone can even commit suicide, but why not now? Let's save it right now, and I know we will celebrate later.
Yeah. I love that because yeah, I mean, you're saying, like, why not now? Why not now? But also, this is something that you kind of have always been doing first, just within your family, you know, ever since you were, ever since you were young, you were constantly, working on like art, speaking your truth and figuring out what that was as you went along. And now it's like the stage for that is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Like first it was just your family, and now you kind of have this
Yes.
like what we would call like a chosen family, right? With the people that you have at TTI. and you're still, kind of working on just speaking your truth, like shining a spotlight, making sure people know. And I love that. Like, I love that you were inspired by this person that saw the lack of resources in his community, advocated for it, because you're 100% right. It's like that's exactly how it starts, is people noticing a need, speaking up for it, and kind of listening to that call, because I feel like we get a call from the inside to start speaking up, right? And the fact that like you're answering that call, it's helping you, it's helping your community, but you have no idea, the same way that this person inspired you, you have no idea how many people you're going to inspire, both in Tanzania and around the world, just by telling your story and doing the scary thing. I mean, obviously, it seems in some ways like it would be easier to just, never come out as transgender and to just live a life as the gender that you were assigned at birth. But I mean, and I know how impossible it is to try to live life when you're not living your truth. And
I know.
yeah, so I love what you're trying to do here. And you mentioned, like we need to kind of save our people and then we can celebrate. But I know you've also talked a little bit about wanting to create a space where people can have fun. So can you kind of speak to like what it would mean to be able to like also bring like joy into everything that you're doing with TTI?
Most of the LGBTQ community are very talented
Yeah.
human beings, very nice. All they want is just a space so that they can shine their light. I remember back, I used to be a very good break dancer. And
Really?
yes, I'm telling you, I'm serious.
That's
I'm
cool.
telling you, I was another one. I was the second Chris Brown, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I loved dancing. But now what broke my heart is that in one of the competition, I wasn't able to continue because people couldn't understand what gender I was, and they were very judging about it.
Hmm.
So I had to give up the competition. I had to leave it. But actually, I didn't feel about leaving the competition. I felt bad about the judgment, because I believe, as human beings, when you do something to make when you do something for yourself to feel joy, and then you get negativity that is coming from someone you do not know, you are not aware. It's weird. It's very weird, and it's I mean, it's just generally not okay, you know.
Yeah.
So slowly, the LGBT people become introverts. I mean, they have the shine, but they keep it inside themselves. It
Yeah.
just burns inside themselves. They enjoy it inside, but outside, the reality is that nothing is happening. Everything is pale. I mean, you start dying from inside. You start dying from outside, then inside. You're killing your own joy because now you're unable to express it however you want. So we want to give them a space so that they can shine, they can do it, so that someone can be there and tell them that it's okay. What you're doing, it's okay. You need to continue. You need to be brave. You need to proceed. You need to find yourself. Find your tick. Most of
Yeah.
LGBT people who are talented, number one, they are being violated. Then thinking about how they can share their talent to the world, it becomes hard. So people are missing out the fun part.
Yeah.
And some other people have never experienced fun. They have never experienced joy within their lives because of what of the misery people are causing them. People need to be around a good area, good space, so that they may feel welcomed. They may feel they're also part of part of the human nature, you know? Yeah. So I think every human need to experience joy, to experience good mental health, physical health, and yeah, why not for the LGBT community? So yeah, so that is also my drive. I mean, people are very talented. People need to do basketball. People want to draw.
Yeah.
See, yeah,
I love that. And
there
again,
are others.
I can relate so much again. I mean, for me, I've never been a huge dancer, but I used to be like a musician. And in my hometown, in my, home community, I had a lot of support for that. I moved to Los Angeles to pursue that, and I couldn't, I wasn't able to find my people there. And the people that I met up with in Los Angeles to try to do music, they didn't really get me. I'm not sure if they were racist. I don't really think it matters. The main thing was that they didn't really understand like my gender presentation, and they didn't get me because they didn't see me as a man, but also they only really wanted to help women that they wanted to sleep with, which so I didn't fall into
Crazy.
any of these categories.
The
So
world is crazy.
absolutely crazy. And so
Hey,
as a result, I ended up going completely inward. And you were talking about, the LGBTQ become, introverted even when that's not their natural state. And that was definitely the
yes,
case for me. And I my world became so small, and I would just stay at home, and I stopped doing music, stopped doing all these things. And it was only in these last couple of years that I started, doing creative stuff again. And this podcast is part of that, being creative again and doing comedy and doing all these different things where I can truly express myself and be myself and feel safe and supported in doing that, because now I know who my true people are and how to find them and where they are, right? So yeah, I mean, it's absolutely, it's so important. It's essential, really, and we think about this as like, something where it's like, oh, you need schools, you need medical supplies. Yes, that is all very important, but without a place to cultivate joy, to add to add to culture, it's like, it lacks depth, like there isn't a richness to it when it's just those essential needs, and you kind of ignore what the soul needs, which is to be able to express itself and to be able to utilize talents, whether it's sports, whether it's art, right? So yeah, I think I agree. I think
yeah.
that's all very important.
Mhm. Something else just came up
Yeah.
is that what yeah, according to how I was hearing what you're saying, and now I am realizing that we need to toughen up as a human being. We need to toughen up because no one can come to us and toughen ourselves. But if there is a line of that privilege, we will take it. But if there is no, we need to push ourselves.
Yeah.
That means we were not being welcomed in their spaces where we could sing with them. We were not welcomed in their spaces to play football with them. We are not welcome in their spaces to do stuff. We will create our own space.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes
Yes.
exactly right back to what you
The
were
word
saying
of
before. Community is defense. Defense is
yes.
strength and
So
toughness.
if yes, I mean we will create it. If they were able to create, why can't we? I mean,
Exactly.
we will create it in any means. We will create it, and they will hear their voice. I mean, they will hear our voice, and they will love it. They will hate it to love
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. I mean, that's how it works, right? Going back again to American history, like LGBTQ communities were very much so in the underground and not a known thing in mainstream society. And decade after decade after decade of more growth and more visibility, it's becoming, more and more in the mainstream. And now you have, LGBTQ programs and entertainers who are winning awards in the mainstream. But a few decades ago, that wasn't possible, and it was only possible because of the work that was done, to create those spaces for us. And so that's kind of, that's kind of where you're at right now in Tanzania.
Again, yes, again, the habit of being raided by the police in our safe spaces of having fun. I mean, it has always been there. You
Yeah.
are in a club, you see just a bunch of police coming and pulling someone, or you see some bouncer just coming and disturb some LGBT drinks. I mean, we don't need that. We need to have fun. I mean, we need to clear our mind. So we do not need to feel that violence in such a moment. You see? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, violence or police raids in safe spaces. I mean,
Yeah.
any Americans that are listening to this right now that have Hulu, I highly recommend that you check out this Pride documentary. I think it's literally just called Pride, and it goes through decade after decade of what was going on in America through the lens of
Yeah.
LGBTQ history. And
Mm,
this is the exact same stuff that was going on just a few decades ago, right, right here in America. And
mm,
you're kind of in that same space. And so if there's any Americans who are like, man, I wonder what I would have done if I was alive during that time, you are alive during that time right now. It's just happening in other parts of the world. So I mean, so Mwamba, I think we're just about out of time. So for someone who is listening to this and they're nowhere near Tanzania, they're in Europe or they're in America, most of them are in America. I don't know why I said Europe first, but if they're in America and they're listening to this and they want to get involved, like what are some ways that people can help from halfway around the world? What can we do to
mhm.
support TTI?
Guys, number one is partnership. We are always open for partnerships because we want to grow as young people. We want to grow as a community. So partnership is good. And it's also good so that you may also get to learn about Tanzania. You get to come here in Tanzania and look at this wonderful motherland. You
Yeah.
see, partnership is very nice. It creates network. It creates resilience. It creates strength for us because we want to move from surviving to striving. So that is, I think that is a priority to us. Also, issuing statements. We believe we are very good friend of the Americans. We are working with them in different areas, with the American embassies, with the World Bank. I mean, we have a lot of things that we are working together. So I believe when crackdown happens in our country, we believe you guys are our frontliners to put a good word out there if something is being done that is not fairly. I think that will be very helpful to us. Last but not least is the resources. I mean,
Yeah.
we need to survive as human beings. We need to continue doing the great job of human defense, but we also need, to survive. Resources means support system of capacity, financing our work, financing our events, financing our fundraising, because all this is going to the community. We are taking it straight to the community, and we are tired of mainstream organization taking up all the sexual minority and the gender diversity resources, because sometimes it doesn't reach to the intended community because
Yeah.
there's too much bureaucracy, too much politics on the around the table that makes the person who is from the community to not receive the help. So we are taking it straight to the community. So we ask for yeah for resources. That is nice.
Yeah, once again, I mean that sounds very familiar to stuff that's happening here in America where you have these big organizations that are supposed to be helping and because of both bureaucracy and corruption, right? There's the money and resources are not actually getting to the people who need it
Yeah.
most. And so instead of like a top-down approach, where everything is supposed to trickle
Yeah.
down. We need more of a bottom up approach where the resources go straight to the community, straight on the ground. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking to donate, I'll definitely add that link to my website. You know, you can follow Tanzania Trans Initiative on Instagram. You can follow Mwamba directly on Instagram. We'll have the links to all that here in the show notes. Um, but yeah, and I think you know, as far as statements and partnerships, it sounds like you know, it sounds like I have some work to do myself to you know, start talking to some of my elected officials and see what I can do to start, you know, shining a light from that angle as well. Because I know you talked about the World Bank and stuff, but I think the World Bank is also cutting funding to Tanzania because of some of the human rights violations going on against LGBT people. But the
Yeah.
thing is, you cut off that funding and then the funding is cut off. You know, punishing the leaders at the top won't.
People need, it's crazy. When bad things happen inside a country, it affects everyone. People,
Yeah,
I mean, leaders don't see that. They need to see that because some of the violences are coming from the leaders that we depend on them to put up a good word uh, for everyone generally. But when we have leaders who are taking advantage of their power to just manipulate some community, that is not right. I mean, the world is watching, so
yeah,
we need to be careful how we. I mean, we need to be careful on how are we how are we driving how are we driving as a country because everyone is watching. See, you can't do something negative to the community. You can't say something that will hurt a big number of the community and get away with it. People will remember it always, and it will come back to you. You see, so.
absolutely. Now, so to end on a slightly happier note, you know, so there, you know, we've already kind of griped about this privately, you know, not recording. You know, growing up here in America, I had a lot of friends, I had a lot of classmates, colleagues who, you know, I would say my dad is from Tanzania and they have no idea what I'm talking about. You know, there's Americans that don't even know that Tanzania is a country. I would hope that that's not any of my listeners at this point because I feel like I've talked about it enough. But
Okay.
for Americans who have never heard of Tanzania or are not very familiar with it, you know, if there's anything that they could take away, like what would you want them to know about this land, about this country, about
uh,
this culture, anything about Tanzania? If
Number one is I want them to know that they are good people with voice
yeah,
who are trying to create a space for themselves just to shine the light so that you may know what Tanzania is. Because I have been around the world and it's like people do not know where Tanzania is. Guys, Tanzania is in East Africa.
yeah,
And they sometimes they mix it with Kenya. No, Kenya is Kenya and
right,
Tanzania is Tanzania. And I'm sorry that and I'm sorry if in any way that we were not able to build a relationship, positive relationship, so that we may know each other well as a country. We are welcoming you guys, stakeholders, to come and learn more about Tanzania. This is a good place to invest. It
yeah,
is a good
yeah,
place to make partnership. We are good people. And I have been watching a lot of news around the world. I have been seeing opportunities whereby African countries are there, but Tanzania is missing.
yeah,
We have youth who are eager to learn, youth who are eager to serve. They need that chance. Please, we need those opportunities. They need to come in this country. You need to see what youth can do because we believe in youth. So youth, we need to empower the youth. We need the resources to go to the youth. they are willing to make chances. I mean, my brother Leo here is from Tanzania. I mean, he's a Tanzanian guy. He's really looking forward to coming Tanzania,
Yeah.
and he's hoping that he will find youth who are very active, who are very sharp. You know, we are very good people. Please, guys, come. The American Jewish, please don't only end up in Kenya. You need to come here. Yeah, come in Tanzania. I mean, this is a great land, despite all the things that we hear. I want to tell you something very nice. I have good news, actually. I have good news.
Oh.
All the leaders that were causing destruction by their own power of hands, they are no longer in power.
That's great.
Our president has solved that issue because she's the president of rights. She believes in rights. She believes in women's rights. She believes in men's rights. She
Yeah.
believes in equal rights to everyone. It does not matter who you are, transgender, sexual minority, you're a lesbian, gay, you're a man, you're a woman. Everyone is equal. I mean, on the law, everyone is equal. So I'm glad those leaders, the ones that were causing the crackdowns, are no longer there. The leaders that were manipulating women, raping women, are no longer there. Our madam has changed everything. Guys, you need to come to Tanzania. Everything is happening here. I'm telling you, you need to come.
That's beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Mwamba, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so
Yes,
much for having this conversation with me.
yes.
I'm so glad that for the most part the network cooperated with us.
Mm.
I can't wait to see what all we can do together, and I can't wait to meet you someday in person and to meet everybody
I
else
can't
at
wait to meet you
TTI.
too, man. I'm telling you.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be
Yes,
great. It's
it's
gonna, yeah. Oh man.
man,
So
we will have a great time. I'm telling you. I will show you around Tanzania.
it'll be great.
Oh,
I
yes.
can't wait. So where can our listeners find you on the internet? Is there anything that you'd like to promote?
Yes, I would love to promote our page, our Instagram page. It's called the Tanzania Trans Initiative. I would also like to promote our Facebook page. It's Tanzania Trans Initiative, and we are going to, also our YouTube page.
Huh?
It's called the Tanzania Trans Initiative. Please, we are soon going to put out there this podcast. Please, you'll find also the podcast of Leo. He will also have our link to our YouTube. We will find we are going to start nice sessions, burning sessions. We are going to have conversations about our spirituality, relationships.
All right, it cut. I think you're back now. Okay, it cut out one more time. Can you wrap that up for me one more time? You know, they say third time's a charm. We're so close to being done, and the network is just not wanting to cooperate for this last tiny bit. But yeah, what was that last part again? Sorry.
Uh, yeah, I mean spirituality, health issues. We are going to talk about relationships, everything in general. I mean lifestyle of LGBT community in Tanzania. I mean people need to see that side, that positivity side, that rainbow side of ours. So yeah, our YouTube channel. I think soon it will start. It will start. I don't want to spoil anything or give you any expectations, but stay tuned.
I love it. I'm really excited about the YouTube page. That sounds like it's going to be really great. And again, just a great way to have your voices be shared. So
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
love it. I'm here with you, and yeah, let's get started like getting this stuff on the map. I love it. Thank you again, Mwamba. I gotta cut this because I actually have something else that I have to do very soon,
Mm.
but I'm gonna stop the recording right
Okay.
here. And thank you.
Okay. Thanks, man. Thank you.